Welcome back to another UNC Tar Heels football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our fast-growing YouTube channel that is called Tar Heel Illustrated, I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and joining me is our Director of Football Recruiting, Miss Deana King. And Deana, the Tar Heels get another commitment. We talked to Mack here about a week ago, and he said, well, they're not going to maybe get as many in the summer, as early as usual because the kids still want to see stuff, and then you get to see a whole lot in June because it was such a short period of time. But they're still going to get some commitments, and here we are, middle of July. Bryson Jennings, a four-star strong side defensive end, a rush end from Clover Hill High School in Midlothian, Virginia, which is a place Carolina fans should be familiar with. 6'6", 220 pounds, the number 25 player nationally at his position, the number 10 prospect in the state of Virginia, a Virginia Tech legacy, but he picks the Tar Heels over the Hokies. He also, in his top five, when he had a top five, he ended up narrowing down to two. Also in his top five were Kentucky, Virginia, and Penn State. So what are your thoughts on Bryson Jennings being the latest member of the class of 22 to pop for Mack Brown and the Tar Heels?
When we started talking about the class of 22, we said Virginia was going to be very important in this class. And right now, Bryson Jennings makes 4 Virginia commits in this class. He joins Tayon Holloway and Tyshawn Chapman out of Tidewater, and then Travion Green from the Richmond area, the big offensive lineman. So Mack has planted another stake in Virginia. Being out on the camp scene, already hearing some feedback from some folks up in Virginia, talking about how well Mack and Dre Bly are recruiting that area. But let's not forget Jay Bateman's from up in Virginia, and Tommy Thigpen's up in Virginia. So a lot of North Carolina, Virginia ties in this. So Bryson Jennings, like you said, 6'6", 220. He's a defensive end. He's going to be a great fit in Coach Bateman's defense. He's possibly that position that we never know what it's called. We just call it a hybrid. Maybe the defensive end linebacker position. He's definitely built for it. So just another huge pickup for Coach Brown and the Tar Heels.
And when people think of Virginia, Deana, they think of just the Tidewater area, the 757, but the Richmond area, which is where Midlothian is located, it's a western suburb of Richmond. There's a lot of talent in basketball and football there. Carolina fans probably remember Tyler Powell, the defensive tackle, played for Larry Fedora, came in, I think he was a true freshman in 14. He was from Midlothian. And Kenny Williams, basketball player, also from Midlothian. So there's a lot of athletes in that area. And the Tar Heels are not just putting a stake in the soil in Tidewater area, Norfolk and Virginia Beach and Hampton and all that kind of stuff, Chesapeake. They're doing it around the state, and they do recruit Northern Virginia as well, which is where Tommy Thigpen spent the last 2 years of high school up in Woodbridge, which is just outside the DC Beltway. So Bryson Jennings himself, he's a legacy. His dad was an all Big East tight end at Virginia Tech back when the Hokies were still in the Big East. And had a little cup of coffee, I guess, in the NFL. Bryson's a big-time athlete. He's a kid that I think, when you just look at him, you say, wow, this kid could do a lot of stuff. At 6'6" and 220, and he's going to be 260 by the time Bateman rolls him out on the field. You're right. He is the kind of kid, I think, that they look at and say he can stand up and make a play. You can put a hand on the ground and make a play.
That frame that he's listed at is a lot similar as like Desmond Evans, because Desmond was like 6'6", 220, and now look what Brian Hess has done to Desmond.
He's up to 260, by the way.
Yeah,
and he's only been there a year.
Just solid. But being from Virginia, of course, they had a limited schedule in the spring, so played 4 games. Had pretty good stats for 4 games. I had 30-some tackles, around 12, 13 tackles for loss. So, I mean, he had a good season based on what they got to play. So, yeah, and you mentioned a legacy from Virginia Tech. I mean, this was this came down between UNC and Virginia Tech, and we mentioned in podcast before that he had a big choice. Does he want to follow in his dad's footsteps at Virginia Tech or make his own path? And so he chose Carolina. I'm going to make his own path with the Tar Heels.
The other caveat here, in addition to planting flags in the soil in the Commonwealth, is there was a day not too long ago when Carolina was losing a lot of these recruiting battles with the Hokies, but they're winning them now. And winning one like this, not only getting a Hokie legacy, but also getting a kid out of Midlothian, which is a few hours from Blacksburg. What does that say? What does that tell you? This isn't the first time they've gotten a kid that had interest from Virginia Tech, but the pull to Chapel Hill is getting stronger and stronger.
It's almost like turnabout's fire play, because let's admit it, during Larry Fedora's tenure, Virginia Tech came raided in North Carolina and got a lot of kids out of North Carolina. We talked about it this weekend. They really hit Greensboro and Charlotte a lot. Virginia Tech has always had great
and Shelby and a linebacker down from Shelby, right?
Yeah, Dax Holyfield, but they got a kid from Greensboro to commit, Xavier Simmons, who was on UNC's radar for a long time. So they had that slogan, NC to VT. Well, yeah. Carolina can do the VA to NC this year, because that's 4, and there's possibility of some more Virginia kids joining. I mean, you got Zach Rice, George Pettaway, and Dalen Everett still. They haven't decided yet either. So
and they're not all 757 kids. Rice is from Lynchburg,
and they're all over the state. So you mentioned 3 of the main places: Tidewater, Richmond, and Northern Virginia. But you can't forget about around Roanoke and Lynchburg and that area down in that vicinity was that's pure Hokie territory and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's Mack's mission. He said he would have to go out of state to get the good ones, and he didn't have to go far to get Bryson Jennings.
Bryson Jennings, 4-star strong side defensive end from Midlothian, Virginia, the number 25 strong side defensive end nationally in the class 2022. He is the latest to pop for Mack Brown and the Tar Heels. She is Deana King. I'm Andrew Jones. Thanks for stopping by.